going on? It's the Ben and Jay Show. I am Jay.
What's up, guys?
One half of Ben and Jay. And of course, you know the man himself, Ben. And we want to thank you for tuning in and welcome to the Ben and Jay Show. Now, let's get right into it. This is a part 2 of our special discussion with Max and Matthew. You guys are very familiar from their very intuitive first part to the series where we were speaking about the COVID-19 pandemic and what it's teaching us more and more about isolation of those on the autism spectrum. So we have some quotes that we want to start off. It's a little bit different than what we normally start off, but it's a lot of meat, a lot of information to this actual presentation. So we want to go right into it. So I read an article. It's from Dr. Nassif. Last name is spelled Naseef. And the title of the article you can find online basically says what COVID-19 teaches us about being human. And this is something that actually stuck out. And it says fathers of medically fragile children quickly went into quarantine without symptoms like the nurse mentioned above. One father started coping right away by reading his daughter bedtime stories via FaceTime. Privately, he cried about not being able to physically be with them at bedtime, but he showed up every night on FaceTime and gave them happiness of his attention, even though they missed him. So that's something that I can deal with personally. A lot of people know that me personally, I wasn't able to see my son until recently yesterday.
Positions last, final answer.
We will be starting up the actual the arrangements that me and his mother had as far as me seeing him every other weekend or possibly every weekend now because I miss my son to death. So Ben, you got a quote also that you want to speak about currently, right?
Yes, sir. Dr. Michael Thompson, Director of Special Programs for the St. Joseph School District. But there are certainly disabilities where students struggle even more for instant. I don't know how to say that. Instant. Okay. Instant with autism. Those students very frequently are driven by needs for things to remain on the same, and for those remain on the same, and those nothing and remain on the same at the last month. And so for those students, it's going to be especially difficult in these times because nothing is kind of turned upside down. Dr. Thomas, school closing distribution special ed routine, www.newspecialessnow.com.
Okay, so that's a great article. I believe from Dr. Michelle Thompson. It was entitled "School Closings Disrupt Special Ed Routine," and as Ben said, you can find it on www.newspressnow. That's all one word. .com. And before we get anything further, we just want to say that this webinar is made possible by Access Services. Access Services is a nonprofit serving 11 counties in eastern Pennsylvania with the mission to create better ways to serve people with special needs. They've been doing it for 44 years and are only expanding their services as they bend to fit the needs of those in eastern Pennsylvania. Shout out for Access Services for powering us. And we also have a raffle tease. Ben, we have what? We're giving away 2?
We're giving away 2 today. So we're giving away, you go first, Jamiel, and then I'll go second.
So we wanted to send a special shout out to Primal Nutrition. I see the shirt right there of Monco for being today's show sponsor. One of today's show sponsors. We have a $25 gift certificate to use at the Primal Nutrition Monco location that we're going to raffle it off at the end. Also, too, Ben, who else do we have as a sponsor today?
We want to thank Tony Roney's Pizza again. We're raffling off a Tony Roney's gift certificate, everybody.
Ooh, who doesn't like pizza? Definitely. So at the end of the show, we're going to raffle both of the prizes off. So please stick around. We have each one of your email addresses. So we're automatically going to pick the email address and have the raffle. So once again, today guests, friends, family, whatever you want to call them, panelists, Max and Matthew are back. and they are here to share a project they are conducting that addresses the isolation of COVID-19, what it brings, how it gives a taste of what people on the spectrum experience every day. Max is a peer mentor to individuals on the spectrum. He is a resident of Mount Airy in Northwest Philadelphia and is a proud member of that community, as well as the Jewish, theater, and autism communities. Matthew is a peer mentor for people interested in, is a peer mentor for people on the spectrum and resides in Roxborough. Also, too, Max and Matthew hope that a takeaway from this time is for people to have that we are not normally isolated, to be more interested in people that are isolated. This webinar will be a different structure than previous webinars. It will be largely forum-based and involve audience participation. So that means at one point, we're going to unmute everybody who is actually sitting and watching this webinar. Shout out to you guys, and you guys will be able to have your questions answered by Max or Matthew or make a conscious statement. We just ask that everyone please allow each person to go, be respectful of their questions and times. There's no wrong question here. This is the reason why we're having this. And thank you all for joining.
Yes, sir.
Before we start, we want to show you some video clips that we found on YouTube. When watching this, we want you to understand that the views, opinions, and beliefs that are in some of these videos are not in whole a view of a particular group, religion, or social economic class. These are individuals' perspectives, but they have the right to be heard. You can find these videos and more for yourself on YouTube using the keywords autism. Stay tuned. Got a couple of clips for you guys.
Let's go. Let's have some fun, Jamiel. Actually, can't hear it.
Okay, we're going to adjust the volume.
I guess we could if we wanted to.
That's a good idea.
Okay, we're getting the volume situated here. Hopefully everyone is able to hear it. We do apologize about this. That's what happens when you have a show. Things like this actually happen. So while our technical team actually gets these videos up and as far as everyone can hear them, Ben, let's go a little bit into your story personally so people can understand, for those who are new here to the Ben and Jay show, who you are.
Yes, so I had an opportunity. So what happened was I am actually on the autism spectrum, and I was diagnosed when I was 2, and I didn't even talk. And now today I just talk and talk, and there's no off button on me. And I went through speech therapy, and that's when I learned how to do some different stuff in my life. And I also know how to read, and I know how to drive. It was around April last month, and I also tell everybody I was on Ellen. I won Homecoming King. I carried the Super Bowl trophy for the Eagles. I also was last month, and my events got canceled for April. And I said, what am I going to do? And I called up Jamiel, and I said, I was walking home, and I said, let's start a show. I called up Jamiel, and Jamiel was like, all right, let's do it. So we did it, and we are now in our how many weeks has it been? 7? Is this our 7th week?
Roughly around like 4 to 6.
4 to 6 weeks. Yeah, 4 to 6 weeks. But yeah, so we've been having different guests on, and I just want to say welcome back, Max and Matthew, for being back on the show today, for really doing this and helping me out with some different stuff.
Great.
It's a pleasure being back here.
Thank you for having us. Yeah,
absolutely.
Guys, thank you again for being here, and give you a little feedback about who I am. My name is Jamiel. I am the J, the part of the Ben and Jay show. And basically, my role here is from a parent standpoint. My son is actually on the spectrum. He is what is considered in previous terms, because they don't use this terminology anymore, but high functioning. He is someone who is very vibrant and full of life. He does have some needs that need to be met. One of them is social interaction, just like many of our amazing children that's on the spectrum, and those who are now adults and parents themselves. But nonetheless, he is my superhero. What I found myself going through earlier and his diagnosis was my ego. What I mean by that is I didn't know how to process my feelings when it came down to his diagnosis. So after it was all said and done, a lot of changes within me, thanks to my son, a lot of things, thanks to my religion. I was able to actually start my own show, which is called The Ausome Show, which basically speaks out to fathers and men on how to deal with their feelings on the subject of autism and their child being diagnosed on the spectrum. I've been doing it for several years now and have reached out to mothers and fathers, caretakers, rappers, many people who have actually been a part of this community and don't really know it. We met Ben. Ben was on the show with his father, Glenn. Amazing time, an amazing show. And we've stayed friends for this, about a year and a half now.
Mhm.
So Ben did give me a call during this COVID-19 situation. And it was funny because I needed to do something to give back. I didn't want to just sit around and just waste away this time. And Ben said, let's make a show. So here we are, the Ben and Jay show. We got with Access Services. We got with many different minds alike, such as Max and Matthew here. And you're looking forward to a very, very productive 1, 2, 3, 4, however many seasons we can actually be here. So it seems like we're still having the technical difficulties, which is fine. It happens. It's life. So we're going to go right into the actual meat, the discussion of this actual interview. Ben, you have question 1, so you can go ahead.
I will go pull it up right now. Question 1 is, Ben, please give the audience a refresher on what your current project is and sparked the idea to start it.
Well, this was something I started thinking about after the lockdown started to come into place, was that this is very unusual for many people, but for some people, in particular people on the spectrum, it's not that unusual at all to feel as if you're having trouble reaching out to the world around you, and to feel alone, really, and to just not have many resources and people that can help you accomplish what you are trying to accomplish. So we started to think about maybe using that idea to bring the issue, the social issue of people that normally live like this but don't have to, into the mainstream discussion. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, Matt?
Yes, as a person who has a diagnosis on the spectrum, obviously our interpretation of a event with under extraordinary circumstances is going to be drastically different from the neurotypical world. One way that I process this is like when I see all these people having all this anxiety, it's like any unpleasant memory that I've ever, or any unpleasant experience that I've ever had in my life, all just morphed into one. And that way, when I saw that a lot of people were having their hours cut, or just their routines in general, just being adjusted drastically, it's something that I felt that I could relate to. But on the grander scale, it's something that I feel like we're all in this together, and that this could be like when you have something like when you can't you have an adjustment in your routine, something drastically changes, it causes you, and it's very easy to think about having your mind dwell on the things that you can't do versus what you can do. But a good thing that Max did was he had to just like pause and take a deep breath for a moment. And what he said, hey, maybe this could be an opportunity where we can help the people like scientists or just the general public learn about what it feels like to be socially isolated. That way they can kind of have get an inside out knowledge of what it's like to be socially isolated and alone.
Mm-hmm. And if I may just add one little thing to that as well, I also think like the timing is right, if you will. You know, it's one of those like better late than never discussions, but it's also Matthew and I grew up, and anyone else who is tuning in or who was a 90s kid, that was a time when our professional knowledge of the autism spectrum was still developing into what it is today. So now that we know a lot about it, and a lot more than we did back then, in particular, the biggest thing we know is that it is truly a spectrum. There's a huge amount of people that are classified as being on the spectrum, and no two are alike. So the timing, I guess you could say, could not have been better given that, because we've scientifically and professionally moved past that, and now we can focus more on other issues regarding people on the spectrum. This being,
because when we were diagnosed, it was, well, as you would say, the millennials. The common perception that a lot of people had with autism is they always lumped us in the category with the movie character of Raymond Babbitt and Rain Man, just because Rain Man was the very first like mainstream Hollywood film to shed light on autism and what it's like to live a daily life on the spectrum. But obviously that movie came out in the late 80s.
After 14. So
a lot of people's perceptions changed over time, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just as time progresses, we tend to just look at the data, and it's just a way of like our how we progress as a society. So when something like COVID-19 first comes in the fold, people are very confused and are just feeling a sense of sensory overload because they know that something some issue that they're not used to dealing with is coming into the people's minds, and they just are unsure with how to manage it. And I think that this COVID-19 is a good opportunity for everybody to come together rather than break apart from each other. So I think that the project that Max and I are working on in the long run is going to help scientists and like clinicians be able to give them a better feel of what it's like to feel socially isolated and cut off from the outside world. Even though you're living in the inside world, it's just a way for them to be able to make us feel like we're more human and alike, rather than judging us based on our differences.
I agree. Definitely agree. Great point, fellas. Let me check with Kaylee. Kaylee, are we good to go on those videos? Definitely want the audience to have a chance to watch those videos.
Yeah, sure. Let me try to give it another try.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please excuse us. Things happen. It is what it is. Let's look at these videos.
Special shout out to Kaylee. Thank you for what you do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All heroes wear capes.
They say.
Involves a wide range of intellectual, social, and language issues. While the number of children diagnosed is rising, minorities are acquiring the same rate as their white peers. Researchers believe this might be at the different levels of impairment. The drawback to this fact is the limited services for autism. Early intervention may not be equally distributed to children from all backgrounds. It's so important to services to staffing and
Did you hear that?
It was a little bit clearer, but still it came in a little muffled.
It's a little better, but it's still hard to hear. Yeah.
Here's
Let's
the
see if we
second
can
one.
do the next one. How was that one?
I can't hear it.
Okay. Hey, Kaylee, can you put on the next video as well? I want everybody in the audience who's basically looking right now, just to be looking visually at the videos that we're actually showing. We do apologize that you can't actually hear them real good, but we want you to capture exactly what are in these videos. And what I mean by that is the fact that there is not one or just maybe two races that are classified when it comes down to autism. Autism is all across the board, all across the world. It affects people all the way over in China to people down in Australia and then back over here and up to Canada. So you want to keep that in mind. This is not just a socioeconomic thing. This is not a condition that only affects certain races or certain religious groups. It affects everybody. So it's very important that we understand that, and we try to niche together as a community. If we could, with any one thing in this world, come together, let it be autism, and let us come together for the good. So you see a lot in this video. These are individuals that are from Somali, and they really study the religion of Muslim over there for the most part, and this is their son who is on the spectrum. So there are a lot of realities that are going on in the world, and you got to understand that everybody across the world is being affected by this. So when we do a webinar really to speak about autism, we're not just speaking relatively about what's going on in the tri-state area. We want this to reach out all across the world. We want people to understand that they are being understood and thought about all across the world. So as you see in the images down below, you have a Muslim family who is really just trying to maintain their religious beliefs and practices, but also trying to love their son in the same time. And it can be rather difficult. How many people at home have that problem, just being a mother or a father day to day? And think about what's going on currently right now and how COVID-19 actually emphasizes this issue that we are speaking about today. So definitely Max and Matthew's research and work is needed, especially now in these days and these times, unfortunately, that we are in. So I guess, Kaylee, we could cut that. We're going to go right into the next question, which I'm going to open up for Max or Matthew, whatever one of you guys want to answer. And that is, beyond COVID-19, how have you seen the community address those in isolation or at risk of isolation?
One way that I noticed that they've addressed the people that are in isolation is you're seeing that on TV or on websites such as YouTube that they're starting to do more at-home concerts. Just a way is like keeping people entertained, because of the fact that a lot of the live or scripted shows on TV right now have had their production disrupted because of social distancing restrictions and everything. So what they're doing is they're bringing the entertainment to the people's homes, but the twist is that they're broadcasting it from their own homes. So for example, a couple of weeks ago, they did a benefit for the state of New Jersey, because state of New Jersey has one of the highest amount of cases of the coronavirus. They had a lot of famous artists such as Bruce Springsteen and Bon Jovi broadcasting some of their popular songs from their own homes. And it was just a unique experience to see them, how they were going to pull off doing something on really, really like with a short amount of time to prepare, without the backing of like their full band. They're just doing it with like an acoustic guitar and a harmonica. So I thought that was very unique, that they kind of just rolled with the punches, even though they were dealing with something like on really short notice and trying to benefit the working class person, like the nurses in the hospitals, or like the EMTs, or the like their restaurants, like the people handling like delivery or takeout, or even the grocery store people.
Mm-hmm. Great. I mean, definitely, Ben.
In a way that makes people feel good,
Yes.
because music is a way of bringing people together rather than dividing them.
I was gonna piggyback on what Matt said real quick about like the music and stuff. I love, because people on the spectrum love music. I love listening to Disney sing along. I don't know if you heard of that on ABC, but that made me calm and felt like, oh my gosh, I felt like I was in Disney World. But if people on the spectrum just listen and they love Disney and they love different music, then be who they are. They could sing out if they want. They could sing across the street if they want.
Mm-hmm. And I remember, Ben, you were speaking a lot about the school districts with their inclusion programs.
Yeah.
What did you want to
North
tell
Penn has a
me about
great.
that?
I was gonna give a quick shout out to my alma mater, North Penn High School. Love you guys. North Penn High School is a great way that they do inclusion. And I did their post-12 program, and I think it's a really great opportunity. The teachers are pretty amazing. They do such a great job. They were unified bocce champions in 2018. Yeah, so North Penn does a lot of stuff for inclusion. So this is my next question. A lot of school districts have inclusion programs like Best Buddies, Special Olympics, and I'm so thankful for the school district stepping up in different ways. How do you feel like, what made you, with this project, what do you think school districts are thinking about doing when you talk about with them with this project?
I'm hoping that they are a little more inclusive in terms of the activities they have for, especially for people that are on the spectrum, or people that just are lacking the skills, the social skills, in particular, the resources. Now, what I mean, one thing I mean by that is, as I mentioned a minute ago, the autism spectrum, and I say this directly at the end of a report that I have written a lot of at this point. That is one of the ways that the project will be presented in the end. Yes, the autism spectrum does get much more attention than it used to, and I'm very satisfied and happy for that. But this, there could always be more. There could always have more attention, and I'm hoping that for schools that are mainstream or neurotypical, or that do not only have a select amount of students that are on the spectrum, they use this project to include them more.
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback off of what Max says. My hopes for this project is that individuals on the autism spectrum who do offer have a lot of potential and can offer a lot to like the college and employment world, that this project can be an opportunity for some of the professionals, like educational professionals, to be able to help them transition into post-high school life at a lot like sooner rate, and to be able to help them develop soft skills such as being able to engage in small talk, or having a successful job interview, or even when they're on the job, to be able to advocate for themselves in an appropriate manner. And it's these little things that people take notice to when you go on your first job interview, or when you get hired for your first job. Once you start, they'll be able to pick up on things and recognize you for some of the strengths you have. But I think that since the Community Autism Peer Specialist Program is strengths-based, therefore, if you build on a person's strengths as early as possible, they can, the employers can be able to look past little things like, oh, he has unusual eye contact, or sometimes he has trouble communicating his emotions, like by body language, or sometimes they don't pick up on nonverbal social cues. So that way, that when you build on a person's strengths early on, therefore they'll be able to look past their autism diagnosis and make them feel like that they belong in the community, rather than isolating them and cutting them off socially from their other peers. Therefore, I think that Max's program, like his project, is a good way for us to lead the way, and instead of the clinicians or the scientists telling the professionals what to do. So it's like it's kind of mutual therapy in a way.
Mm-hmm. I agree too. Go ahead, Jamiel.
Oh, no. I was definitely going to say, I definitely agree because once again, from a parent standpoint, me seeing it within my son, it's notable, and especially now, like I said in the beginning of the broadcast of the webinar, I just got a chance to actually physically see my son, and it's been about 2 months. We've been talking via Hangouts, which is an app that he has that we often use. But I noticed some things that I didn't notice before. And you know what? Because of this whole situation, I can honestly say that a little bit of digression has been placed within my son's routine, but he actually progressed in a lot of different areas. So it's sort of like a give and take when it comes down to me personally speaking. But I just can't help but just fathom about what other parents are going through when their child is just totally digressed on all levels because of the situation. I mean, it's just horrible. But it's something, it's a harsh reality we all need to actually face and understand when it's going on currently right now. Ben, you had something you want to add on, and then you got the next question as well.
I got you. No, I mean, oh, did I just delete it? Shoot. Hold on. Let me go back. Don't be
There's
a
no
fool.
problem.
I used the tool. There we go. I got it back. Thanks, Mr. Fink. Shout out to Mr. Fink. He's the best. Taught me how to use my tools. All right. So, wait. Hold on. Okay. Let me not mess anything up. So we talked about the school district, and then, let's see, with the breakdowns for getting people for isolation. All right, so what are the breakdowns you made to get people with disabilities out of this isolation?
Well, the one way this project does kind of tie into things I already enjoy doing anyway is that given the what Jamiel mentioned about the communities that I belong to, which are the autism community, but also the theater, Philadelphia, Mount Airy in particular, and the Jewish communities. Those are all very inclusive and very connecting communities and groups of people. So one thing I did for the report that anyone who's that can easily be read in the report is that I asked neurotypicals I'm friends with questions about how they have been feeling, as well as people on the spectrum and colleagues, how they've been feeling. And in doing that, what I was doing was something I already enjoy doing very much, which is connecting people to other people, of course, and to, introduce people that may not know each other to people that I know that may not know each other to them. And so I'm expecting that, given that's something I enjoy doing, I'm hoping that it allows more people to want to connect to other people. And just like I'm hoping with this, use that this is really the whole point of the project.
Can I piggyback what Max said, or you can go ahead and I'll piggyback in a minute?
Well, that is all I have for now, but there is something else I'd like to add soon.
Go ahead.
I don't want to not be said during this conversation. That's all right, but you can go ahead first.
Okay. I like how you said we were connecting with new people. So last night, I got this phone call from a guy. I had no idea who it was. He said, I met you at Camp Orchard Hill, and I heard you speak, and I heard you did an amazing job. So we talked about our story, and I talked about how we could connect with Jesus in many different ways. So his name is Sean. That's the one we were talking to earlier. Shout out to my man Sean. for making a great conversation and interviewing me last night. He's the man, the myth, the legend, everybody. I know he's a Cowboys fan, but however, fly Eagles fly, Sean.
Do you mind if I continue with what I was thinking of saying? Okay. Yes, before this conversation goes any further, or this discussion goes any further, this is a good time, as good a time as any, to discuss in some detail the job that Matthew and I have, which, as Matthew said a moment ago, is a community autism peer specialist, CAPS for short. For the past 8 months, we've both been doing this together and separately. It pairs somebody on the spectrum with somebody else on the spectrum in a peer support role. So there are 5 of us altogether that are located at 12th and Chestnut in Philadelphia. We meet in there and anywhere else that we can, including our homes now, of course. Temporarily, there are 6 individuals on the spectrum that I mentor. The other point of the project is that plenty of people in the spectrum, although they are on the spectrum, they're otherwise very happy and well-respected people, and they do not let any sort of impairment or anything else you may want to use stand in their way. They live happy, fulfilling lives, spectrum or not. And so the point is to use the lived experience that Matthew and I have, and the other 3 have, to our advantage to help these individuals that we mentor live happy, fulfilling lives. There are examples of what I have done with my participants. I have bowled with one of them who was I was far worse than him in terms of my bowling skills, but one time another of them was like asked me if we could go to the auto show, and I was like, yeah, if I get a ticket, sure. And the next day, someone just happened to walk into the office with a ticket, and so I wound up being able to go to the auto show with my participant who would just ask me about that anyway, and take it all in, really. Would you like to say anything else about the job, Matthew?
Yeah, like Max, we both started as autism peer specialists around the same time. We graduated from the very first cohort, and we were lucky enough that we both have several young men in the city of Philadelphia that we serve. And the good thing that I find that one of my biggest strengths is because of the fact that I have the lived experience of successfully navigating through the transitioning into adult world. I am able to take a look back at my own life, and what I do is I try to look at stuff that worked and then also stuff that didn't work. And what I try to do is I try to tailor it to each person, and to be able to figure out different ways of how to motivate them into successfully transitioning or overcoming any hurdles that they have. So for example, I had one participant who wanted to be able to learn how to use SEPTA. So I try to make it my mission every time I meet with him in person that we go ride on SEPTA to a place that he likes to go. So for example, one time we went to Franklin Mill. Well, I still call Franklin Mills, but Philadelphia Mills Mall. Okay. So what I did was I took him on, got copies of the SEPTA map, and what we did was we tried to figure out where the appropriate bus stops were to get to the Philadelphia Mills Mall, and I demonstrated different modeling behaviors for him, like when we were out in the communities. Like for example, the first time I went to Philadelphia Mills Mall with him, I showed him how to appropriately approach a cashier and take out the money, and to be able to show proper manners and everything. And then for another person, he was having struggles with completing his homework because he felt that the way that the curriculum or educational materials that was distributed to him was sensory overloaded because it was overly descriptive and a lot of visual aids. So what I did was I noticed that I thought back to when I was in school, and I had a lot of the same struggles where I felt like some of the materials was excessively wordy, or that felt like they were throwing a lot of curveballs at me. So what I had to do was think back the advice that one of my professors gave to me in college is that you have to break it down into chunks and just slowly read it. And I had to realize that sometimes I had to just slow my brain down. So what I did was I pulled this guy aside and I said that that since you're starting a new semester, you should use that as an opportunity to be able to address some of these accommodations that you might need, rather than wait for it to become an issue. Because if you address it too late in the semester, your teacher may not be able to make the accommodations that you need and be able to pull your grades up. So what I did was I pulled them aside and I said, hey, if you're having this issue, you should bring it to whoever and get it taken care of, rather than wait for it to become a problem and then it's one big pickle. So after he brought this up, his grades started to go up.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
That's good. That's good.
Good stuff. Amazing what you guys do. I just want to, just give a shout out personally to you guys for, just being so patient and understanding. Of course, it's within your character, but I mean, still, there is not a lot of people that actually practice those type of structures in their life. So definitely a big shout out to what you guys do day in and day out. Before I go into the next question, Max, I have a question for you. Now, I don't want to step on any toes, but I'm very, very curious. In one of my past careers, I had the opportunity and privilege of actually protecting by armed security, a lot of the religious temples of those who are Jewish. My question is, how do they feel about autism? Is there like dialect when it comes down to autism? Is it something they feel as though my general curiosity is, how do they feel about autism?
I think they do not feel any. I think they feel it just the same way that I feel. I mean, the experience I had is I always enjoyed going, still to this day, going to my synagogue and attending the services and knowing the people that, there's many people in my neighborhood alone, if not in this entire city, not other cities now, that I'm still in touch with from growing up in Hebrew school and in the days of when everyone was in, all the people my age were in my neighborhood and city. From what I've experienced, they are very inclusive and very accepting of anyone. I attended this Holocaust Emporium in high school that was at synagogues around the area, and they welcomed anyone who, there were times where that wasn't necessarily a time where I needed to say anything, but they did not need to, if I imagine if the individual on the spectrum needs accommodations for the presentation of the service or what have you, they will happily make them. But I think the communication has to happen before anything else does.
Great. Thank you. I mean, I always wanted to realize that. I have to say, anytime I was on my detail with protecting a synagogue, they always made me feel welcome by introducing themselves and really wanting to know what my name is, where I'm from. And that gave a kind of good, comfortable rapport. And I just want our audience to really get an understanding that, once again, we're not talking about a specific culture, religion, race. Everyone goes through this, and try to get some of the stereotypes or typical thinking that's already been out here in the world, throw that out when we're speaking at least about our amazing children that are on the spectrum. So thank you for that little bit of information for me personally and for the audience. So let me go into the next question, and we've been, chopping it up so far, so good. What are your future goals with this project, both Max and Matthew, if you could answer that?
One of our goals of this project is to be able to present the findings at a sort of like a workshop or a conference, such as the Philly Autism Project Annual Conference, which occurs once a year at CVH's headquarters at 8th and Market. And I think that not only that, but we should maybe consider going to like other workshops in Philadelphia because of the fact that there's so many autism research centers within the city of Philadelphia now, given that it's a major city and there's a lot of great universities and like medical schools. And because when I was first diagnosed, I was diagnosed at Children's Hospital, the Seashore House. I think if I remember correctly, Seashore House was like a relatively new autism testing center. And obviously, like SHOP, as it keeps just like expanding, it's like every other day you hear that they're building like a new facility or something. But now you have all these autism research centers like at St. Joe's and like obviously LaSalle, and a lot of the Pashy schools are starting special like autism like programs for the students on the spectrum that are making the transition into college. They find ways for them to get out and like socialize with each other. It could be an outing like getting together and watching a movie or like playing board games together. And that's something that when I was in school, that a lot of professionals were, I don't want to say ignorant, but it didn't come to mind. They just want to be able to focus on correcting like minor deficiencies rather than recognizing and want to make them feel like they're a part of something rather than dividing them. And like I said, I don't think that that's not their intent. It's just when autism was first being learned about, people, our educators were just not sure of how to make students want to feel included and make them feel as though that they like were of equal to their neurotypical peers. But however, I think that now that clinicians in different like people that work in hospitals or even first responders want to have a more they want to acquire more knowledge about how to be sensitive to the needs of those on the spectrum. It's a step in the right direction, and that way it can help them obviously eliminate a lot of the common misconceptions that people have about autism, that they see this as a different way for them to communicate rather than that they are not capable of being able to quote unquote like be able to fit in. What some people are recognizing now is that we can help them feel like they do belong in the world by being able to just building on their strengths, but also sometimes offer them feedback, but in a supportive manner.
I was going to piggyback what Matt said. I did go to the Philly Autism Conference last year. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago about like one of the speakers that were there. And I thought that was really, really powerful. I mean, to talk about somebody with a speaker with different stuff, I mean, that was pretty good.
Yeah, are you talking about the keynote speaker?
Yes.
I think his name was Dr. Hardwick. He was from like Georgia or something.
Yes.
And I thought
My
it was
goal
very
Matt,
interesting.
I would love to speak at that conference. I would love to be like a keynote speaker next year at the conference, like me and Jamiel.
I can definitely see you doing that, Ben. But what I was saying is that Dr. Hardwick, he brought a very interesting perspective to the conference, given that he was not diagnosed until he was much later in life, and given the fact that he is a minister at a big church in the South, which is known as like the Bible Belt community. He brought a very unique perspective to the audience, given that because of the fact that he was diagnosed much later in life than other people were, he learned how to cope with the world around him in the way that he interprets things, rather than because he was talking about like the different things that he does with his congregation, just so people don't draw the wrong conclusions about him. And he was saying about like because remember, he in a part of his presentation he was showing clips from like the show The Good Wife. That way people learn to navigate things like that they tend to have struggles with. It's like displaying emotions in a nonverbal way, But anyways, like Ben said, I can definitely see Ben speaking in front of a larger audience, given that he's a very personable person, and because of the fact that his faith has a very strong influence on the way that he conveys to an audience, and that way he can offer hope rather than shutting people down.
Yeah. I will talk to Lauren or them when our proposals due, because I don't mind. I would love to speak at the I'm actually serious, really want to speak at the mental health conference this year.
What we can do is we can discuss that. I think that they're probably still planning the conference, but what we can do is we can sit down like maybe in like a couple weeks once things start to clear up with COVID-19. What we can do is we can try to arrange some sort of meeting where we can discuss what your intentions are when you do. What we can do is we can like sit down and we can kind of brainstorm and figure out what type of message that you want to send to the audience, and why you feel that it's important to bring hope to other families. Given that you are somebody that is very personable.
No, no, they're not around. And then speaking of which, I got accepted to the Penn State conference.
Nice, congratulations.
The one that happened in the summertime.
Yeah, the one that they're going to be having in the summer, but they're doing it virtual this year. So I'm one of the speakers this year.
Okay. Congratulations, Ben. That's what's up, man. Congrats.
Cool.
Congrats. Good news all around. Max, let's get to your aspect. What are your future goals with this project? I know we heard from Matt. Just want to hear what your future goals are for this project as well.
Okay, yes, apart from the presentation at the conference or 2 or 3, I also, as mentioned, it's going to take the form of a report, one of the forms of a report, and yeah, I imagine there will be a short version and a long version as well for for those who are, depending on who reads it. And the report so far gives backstory as to who I am and where I come from. It also gives backstory as to what autism and Asperger's syndrome are, and how they can affect people. And then I bring it up to speed with COVID-19 and the things that the events that occurred because of it. Then I also talk about the parallels, of course, between that isolation, this isolation, and I then continue with talking about like the findings, the specific quotations from the people that I spoke to, and what the useful information they provided to me. I also offer advice to parents or people who may be struggling and what they can do, and I conclude it. So it is, and I also mention, on a side note, I reference newspaper articles and other articles that are talking about the bigger picture, which is that it's not only people on the autism spectrum. There's an article I referenced that talks about chronic illnesses such as depression and other more non-autism spectrum level, and how it's a very similar idea. But apart from that, it's going to be I also have been contacted by several people that have found my said report to be very enlightening and very encouraging, and so I'm figuring out how to respond to their requests in terms of what they want to do, such as one person wanted to maybe do it as an op-ed, one person wanted to do it as a series of, and I imagine there will be some blog posts I will be posting about with that break the report down into smaller chunks. But I am open to really any format that it takes on. It's a lot of people are paying attention, and it's much more than I could have asked for. It's very flattering, and it just it's amazing how it began really as kind of a pipe dream to use this event to get the social issue to the forefront. So it's amazing what only a few weeks and a lot of people have done. And if you've helped me so far, I thank you for that. And whoever you are, if you're listening to this right now and watching this, I thank you for whatever help you provided to me. The last thing I can say is I have a survey that I believe it went out after the first installment, but if it didn't, in case people still have not taken it and are interested in taking it, we should definitely try to get it out to them again, just because the more people it reaches, the better, and the more data I have, the better. I'm going to put a little paragraph in the report saying, these people said this, people said that. So if that has not, that could go out again after this episode, that'd also be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, and I thought that was really, really good what you said, that the way you were going to distribute the materials, because of the fact that this is a very, very, very much going to be an ongoing discussion. I think that it's important and crucial that these materials are not just exclusively distributed in one format. Therefore, some people might feel that they need the materials distributed in a more simplified format, given that it's just a lot of information to process. But for some people, they feel as though if the information is just too vague, that they don't get the same message across about where the how this project came about, and also what the intentions are. So I think that posting to something like a blog or anything is a good way for people to be able to access the information very easily. And it's a good way, like you never know, somebody like it could end up just leading to something bigger and better. And I think that it's very good that Max has gotten the interest of a lot of professionals. They recognize that COVID-19 is affecting everybody on a large scale, but for those on the spectrum, it's affecting in like a whole other way that people never even imagined. So I think that it's great that people want to be able to, it's like the start of a chain reaction. So with Max, like initially like came to the team and said, this is such a project that this is how it's affecting me. And next thing you know, it's getting the attention of a lot of different organizations, and they recognize that we should be including people on the spectrum in a life once they age out of the government mandated services, and to be able to tailor it to other aspects of their life, whether it's college or employment, or just transitioning them from one stage of life to the other.
True. And it's great that you guys are bringing these points up. If everybody will take a look inside of the chat box that you have, if you're one of the attendees of this webinar, our wonderful Kay Lee has put on the link on there, the link again to SurveyMonkey, and that would be the survey service that we use for the information, the questions that Max have. It will help him further as far as building more quantitative data to present to those individuals who want to hear more, those administrative individuals that want to hear more about this project, and possibly help them to expand it wider than the tri-state area. And actually talking about the quantitative data, Max and Matthew, you have some graphs to give an overview of the project so far. So I'm gonna let you guys go ahead and control the floor, and you can show this information to our audience.
so we have information from the surveys. I think I may have a little difficulty with sharing that.
Okay.
I do know that the, there we go.
Here we go.
This is the first question. Do you identify as being on the autism spectrum? As you can see, most of the people who have responded have said no, and a few have said yes. Just, of course, to determine which side of the audience really you fall on. This next question says, please rate how often you felt lonely during this period. And if you'd like, you can describe in greater detail how the loneliness has affected your daily functioning. Most of the people have said daily. There have been a couple that have said once a week, a couple have said more, but not as many as daily. They've said less than once a week. And the other answers have not really been affected by, because I guess people have not been feeling the frequencies of those answers.
Okay.
The next one says this pandemic has made life very challenging, and many are manifesting mental health concerns. So please, the question is to say which of those concerns have come up for you. More one answer may be selected. If I miss anything, you can say that in the comments. And the answers are feeling pessimistic about the future, which is not the most popular one. The one that got the most answers is not having a set routine that places you around others.
Yeah, that was the biggest challenge I felt when this all, because of the fact that we weren't going to be able to interact with our participants face to face, we were all concerned how it was going to affect their daily routine. But one of the surprising results so far is that we found that it was very split about how they affected them as far as their daily routine. But for some people, the thing about COVID-19 is that they felt as though they were not under as much pressure to go out and do things that were outside of routine. So therefore, they were sticking to their daily habits, such as like reading a book or playing video games or watching TV. But for some others that wanted to be able to make changes in their life, they found that it was difficult to stick to a routine because of the fact that their mind was just stuck on something. So therefore, I think that the results of the survey do support what Max was saying, is that they were bothered by changes in the routine.
The other answers that got frequent responses, one please. They were one please. Okay, and this is the next question. Some possible activities you may have been using in order to cope with the effects of the lockdown. The most popular one is the one that's most responses is watching television or movies as a way to distract oneself. Other ones include taking walks, running, or other activities, physical activities, talking with friends on the phone or online. Also got a lot of good, strong answers, as did remotely attending work or school. And there are many others. As you can see, this is the question that I think has the most responses of because of the diversity of it and the many answers that people can give to respond to it. So this is a completely anonymous way to get responses to the that will support what I am reporting on. So again, it has been sent out again. I appreciate that, because whether or not you are on the spectrum, you can relate to this, and whether or not you are on the spectrum, you will directly or indirectly be mentioned in my report, and at whatever whatever end result this project takes on. So thank you in advance for your participation if you're interested.
Matthew?
All right. That was.
I think that one of my main takeaways from the results of the survey that Max has distributed to the different people is we have actually found that there's a lot of shared similarities in how people manage their time. I know myself, I have been binge watching a lot of TV and movies, but also I recognize that even though we are battling a pandemic right now, it's important to not be stuck socially isolated in your homes, and to use that as an opportunity to engage in emotionally regulating activities such as going for a walk outside. Or I noticed that since I'm actually staying with my parents right now versus being in my apartment in Philadelphia, one of the things I noticed that almost all my neighbors have done on weekends is cut their grass. Or like sprinkling fertilizer, or just they're using it as an opportunity to just take care of the outside of their house, like power washing. Or so in a way, it's brought people closer together in ways that under most circumstances wouldn't happen.
Okay. Good perspective. I mean, I can fully relate to doing things outside of the norm. Well, not too much out of the norm, but having the ability to actually consistently do it on a schedule, such as running. So now I'm running at consistent times, or I'm setting my day up to basically form a more structured run time. Whereas though when I was working previously post COVID-19, it was just whenever I had the opportunity to, if I wasn't tired, go ahead and run and take care of what I needed to take care of. So it's interesting that you made that narrative, speaking about both sides, and more commonly, you're seeing people do things outside in nature, things that they wouldn't normally do, to try to just basically deal with what's going on currently. So that's definitely good. We want to open up the floor to any questions. I'm just looking at our question section, and I just want to give a shout out to Robin. Robin, I believe this is Ibiston. Hopefully, I pronounced your last name
Access,
correctly.
yeah, that's Robin.
That's Robin. Okay. Alyssa is here. What's up, Alyssa? Sean. Robin had two questions. So what I want to do is I just want to remind everybody that we're going to open up the floor to anyone that wants to ask questions. But before you can speak, I want to speak on one of Robin's questions for Max and Matthew. And also, too, Ben, I think you could probably try to speak on this yourself. And then after they ask these questions or answer these questions, feel free to ask anybody any questions. Once again, just be respectful of someone that's speaking. Just wait until you can actually go. And that's really about it here on the Ben and Jay Show. So the one question I'm going to ask for Robin is, have you seen or felt yourself withdraw, parentheses, isolate yourself internally now more than usual?
I would say I have done the exact opposite. What I mean by that is that what I mentioned in my report is that in, another example of just being good timing, and in a sense, is that I have, as I mentioned in the report, a blogger on who has Asperger's, who has a blog in which he talks about the struggles that it brings, mentions that, and I quote, "The need to bond with others is a basic human need. And the very definition of having Asperger's is to have difficulty fulfilling that need." And I would say today that I have succeeded in fulfilling the need. So I would not say that now I've been under more isolation than I have before, and that there have been worse times in my life where I've felt more disconnected, just because of the social skills that were um, still developing for me, and other things like that.
One of my biggest takeaways from all going through COVID-19 and with social distancing and everything is I learned it's motivated me to be able to manage my money a little bit better because of the fact that I'm living on my, I've been living on my own for 3.5 years. Coming back to my parents' house temporarily, I don't have as strong of an urge because everything's locked down and closed. I don't have as much of an urge to go out and have the money burn a hole in my pocket, because one of my worst habits that I still display as an adult is I buy lots of clothes even though I can't fit anymore in my closet. And luckily, when I came up to my parents' house, I thought I was just going to stay for the weekend, so I didn't take as many clothes with me when I was going up to my parents' house. But one of my big takeaways is I learned how to just be able to use what I have, be able to wear the same clothes a time and time again, instead of just going out and buying another pair of jeans or buying a new pair of sneakers or buying a new t-shirt or something. I learned to make do with what I have, but also I learned to appreciate that the things that my parents did for me while growing up is having the luxury of having a mom that's a good cook and being able to enjoy my mom's cooking. But one of my biggest worries about when I go back to my apartment and I'm worried that I'm gonna forget how to do simple things like making an egg or something. But that's one thing that eventually I'm gonna have to start doing, is being able to cook more of my meals on my own. It's not that I don't know how to do it now, but one of the things I can do is maybe I can watch my mom in the kitchen and be able to figure out maybe she takes an approach of preparing a meal or cooking a different way. And what I can do is I can take those little things and be able to not mess up an egg or overcook rice or something.
Good perspective. Ben, you want to speak a little bit on this?
About the, can you repeat it again?
Basically, just Robin wanted to know what have you seen yourself feel withdrawal or isolated more so now than usual?
I mean, I feel like I'm not isolated because we're talking to you guys and we're more interactive in conversation. And I'm so thankful for technology today, so we can be willing to use that for our voices in many different ways.
That's
the only
great.
thing is that Murphy's law will prevail. So sometimes unfortunate circumstances happen when we're using technology. But the good thing today is that because of the fact that we were all together, we were all able to calm ourselves down when we had some minor hiccups in technology, and we found that one of the things that we did was we focused on what we were able to do, which is to have a healthy exchange of ideas about a topic that affects us in some way or another, which is having the lived experience of being on the autism spectrum or caring for one on the autism spectrum.
True. Okay, so definitely we're running down out of time. This has been a great show. So let's open the floor up. Anybody basically can speak. Just make sure, once again, you're just respectful of someone else that is speaking. So anyone is up. What do you think about Max and Matthew's project? Anybody can speak right now. Hello?
Hello?
Hi, Ben and Jamal.
Hey, who's speaking?
So great to have you back, Alyssa.
Thank you very much.
Alyssa. So what do you think about Max and Matthew's project, Alyssa? Is it relevant?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you there.
Okay, I'm sorry. What do you think about their project? Is it relevant to you?
Yeah, I think it's pretty great for those who are on the spectrum and not on the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to ask, how are you guys dealing with COVID-19? I know a lot of people are facing challenges and stuff, so I was just curious on what you were doing.
One of the ways that I was able to cope with everything, as I was saying, is binge watching a lot of like. What I've been doing is I've actually been rewatching a lot of my favorite movies from when I was growing up. So in a way, they were my way of coping with being socially isolated. So that's one way that I've been trying to make do of what I have. But also one of the things that I did was, even though it got me riled up, one of the nights is I watched the NFL draft because football is my favorite sport to watch. I'm a diehard. Anybody that knows me, that I bleed green and white, bleed Philadelphia Eagles. But
Okay, great. It's got to be
every
great.
year
It's got to be great.
yeah, every year when I watch the draft, it's like the official start of like we're moving into the next season. We get to see all these young guys to see what they have, if they have what it takes to get to be able to succeed in the NFL. And it's really great to see all their individual stories about how they overcame a lot of hurdles to be able to accomplish this milestone in their life. So, for example, they were talking about one of the offensive linemen that the Eagles drafted this year. And I thought it really hit close to home because they were talking about how he was born in Nigeria and he came over to America with just $20 in his pocket and just like a gym bag or something, how he was able to learn a sport that he had no knowledge about and to be able to successfully play it in high school, go to college, and be able to be drafted into the NFL. And they were talking about how he feels like that when he got drafted in the NFL, it was like almost like achieving something because his mother passed away before she was able to see him get drafted. So in a way, it's like the icing on the cake.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
So how have you been dealing with it, Ben and Jamiel? I'm just curious because, I love you guys and, this is a very concerning and, I just want to know how you've been doing.
I mean, I've been good. I definitely want to get Mac's perspective on it as well. Mine's just short and sweet. I'm blessed. I'm still breathing. I'm still being provided for and able to provide for my family. So I can't say anything negative about it. I'm just taking it one step at a time and really just posing on my faith to actually grow.
Yeah, that's sweet. And I totally forgot about Max there. I apologize.
Okay, it's fine. Just in short, I've been finding plenty of ways to deal with it and to make do with what I have. As Matthew said, not just besides the job and that I mentioned, and this side volunteer gig, if you will, that I have. I also am. Again, where my family has been watching a movie that we've decided on every weekend. We all eat dinner together 7 nights a week. We've been doing takeout here and there. A hobby I've had for many years now is guitar, and I've been using my acoustic friend to entertain myself and others, which has always been a helpful thing anyway. I've been getting one thing arguably in closer contact with people with friends that I had before, which is funny how that works out, and justifies the means, I guess. And another, actually, less important thing I'll say is that an important mental exercise I've been doing is, I understand it's common for individuals on the autism spectrum and individuals with Asperger's to be black and white in their thinking. That does not mean that I myself have to be like that. And I'm actually, to be frank, sick and tired of it because I've had several occurrences where I've been way too black and white about situations. So what I've been doing to get rid of as much of it as I can of the thought pattern is to take a piece of paper, split it down the side, and put a black and white thought on the left side and flip it over to a shade of gray on the right. Same thought. It's been very helpful. I think I've maybe eliminated, I don't know, 35% of the thinking already. The goal, of course, being to, even before, to emerge whenever, for or during even, with less of a mental state of, it's either this or it's this. And it's working. All those things are working pretty much.
And I think what Max is saying makes 100% correct, because when this first happened, a lot of people, like you said, I equate looking at an issue black or white as being like a knee-jerk reaction. You're either one way or the other. But I think that one of both he and I, more so probably him, but strengths is that they're able to go back to the drawing board and kind of emphasize with both sides of a topic. So I think that it was excellent that Max asked the questions not just exclusively to people on the spectrum, but for people that are not on the spectrum as well. And we actually got very good results. We found that this time, in many ways that we did not even imagine previously, that it's actually bringing them together rather than dividing them.
Nice. Definitely. So Alyssa, I hope, Ben, did you have anything you wanted to add to this?
No. I hope I'm doing well, Alyssa. I'm staying safe, and I agree with Max and Matt on some of the stuff that they said.
Yeah, and Ben, I wanted to wish you a happy early birthday, because I know your birthday's on the 20th, and you're turning 22, which is exciting.
Yes.
Yep.
And I'll definitely send you a card. I'll make sure of it.
Oh, I'm excited.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. I had to mute myself real quick because my mom and my sister are making noise. So yeah, I apologize for that.
Nah, you're all good.
Just wait until you live on your own. You will never have peace and quiet.
There you go.
Thank you, Lyle. Appreciate
There
it.
you go. All right, so we got the floor open. I think we got time for one more question. We do apologize. It's been a very, very intense conversation. So whoever wants to speak or get a question out, you have the floor. Just give us your first name so we know who we're talking to. Hello? Hello?
Hello? Kevin, Sean, are you there?
Hello? It looks like it's might be Robin that's actually trying to say something. We are unable to hear her. Hello? All right. We do apologize. It seems like everybody's having technical difficulties today. It's just that type of day. It's just that type of Tuesday. But we are going to, unfortunately, get ready to wrap up. It has been a very,
we have to do a raffle.
Yes, we are going to do that. It's been a
How can you forget the raffle?
How can I forget the raffle?
Oh my gosh.
We have two raffles that we're going to be doing. So, Ben, take it away. It's your turn.
All right, let me see what Kaylee picked for the winner one. So the winner one is, you ready? Should this be for the gym or for the let's do the gym.
Well, it's Primal Nutrition. Primal Nutrition is basically
Primal Nutrition is Greg Bennett.
Greg Bennett, you won $25 for Primal Nutrition of Monco. Congratulations.
Congrats, Greg.
Greg, we'll be getting in contact with you. We have your email address when you signed up for the actual webinar. And the second winner, Tony
Roni's Pizza. Is, no way. Oh my gosh. No, it can't be. It's Lauren Finley from the CAPS program.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's exciting.
Yes, you won.
I never win anything.
What could be more exciting than free pizza?
Can I donate it to somebody else?
If you want to donate it to someone else, definitely. That's your decision. We thank you for that.
I would love to. And I just want to thank everybody. I'm the director of the program that Matt and Max work for at the CAPS.
Okay.
And I got to know them as well as Ben when they did the first CAPS training last summer. So I'm really excited about this program, and I've been tuning in, and thank you so much. It's great that you're doing this and getting the word out about autism and just teaching people how to be advocates. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate everything that you do for having individuals such as Max and Matthew work with you. These are the type of people that we actually need more of in the world. So we want to say thank you, and thank you for tuning in. That's really important to all of us. You know, we're not alone. Everybody's in it together. So
Absolutely.
Ben, you want to finish off with our congratulations to our winners?
Well, are we going to pick another one for the Tony Roni, or do you want to save it?
We can pick another one. You want to pick up another person?
That's what I'm thinking. We should let Kaylee pick another one. Let's see what Kaylee picks. Hold on. Wait for it. I'm sorry, guys. Drum roll, please. Oh, it didn't come up yet. Hold on. She's probably typing it.
Okay.
Oh, Adika. Ardika just won. Oh my gosh, she's from the CAPS program.
Oh,
okay.
You know,
Great. We're getting all the CAPS people. We're getting the free pizza.
Congratulations, you won.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Ardika, hey, what's going on, man? Congratulations.
How you doing?
Man. I'm good, man.
Thanks for having us. I really appreciate it, and we're all making a great show.
Thank you, man. And look, you got a pizza, free pizza. Where can you get that at? Other than the
Tony Roni's Pizza.
There you go.
Yeah. So
it's my apartment.
Well, if you send it to my email, I'll be able to take a look at it and see how I can get there.
It's actually a paper copy. I don't know how. Do you want me to send it to your house, or I can send me? I'll send you an email with all the information and stuff, and we'll get in contact.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much, Ben. Really appreciate it.
I have you on. Send me a message on Instagram, and then send me your address or whatever.
Gotcha.
We'll send it to you. I got you.
Okay.
I know you're in for a nice treat. Yep. You could treat Mom for past Mother's Day or something like that. I don't know.
All right.
It's good. I think I'll enjoy 20 Ronies.
Exactly. We just want to say congratulations to our winners, and just thank you for everybody that's tuning in. Max and Matthew, thank you for being here for part 2. Please, everybody, don't forget the survey. The link is in the chat section. It's by SurveyMonkey. That is the provider that's helping Max collect that information. It is imperative that we help Max and those individuals out who is taking the further steps in order to provide some quantitative data to step before administrative individuals in order for assistance for those all across the board, all across the world, starting here in the tri-state area. But if you would like to support what we do here at the Ben and Jay Show, please consider donating to Access Services. You can log on by going to www.accessservices, all one word, .org.
And Jamiel, we have a big announcement, didn't we? Don't we have a big announcement?
What's the big announcement, Ben?
You don't know what the big announcement is?
Ben, I
just had to do the drum roll.
I didn't forget, Ben. Go ahead, take us away with that.
Drum roll, please. Drum roll. Let me get a drum roll on real quick. Drum roll, please. Hold on 1 second. Let me get a drum roll on YouTube. Hold on.
Ben is going all out. He's getting a drum roll from YouTube. YouTube special.
Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to announce that we are having Pixar on our show next week.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, we had the privilege, thanks to Ben and his mayor status, of having directors and writers of Disney Pixar short films, Loop and Float. They will be on the show discussing how they came up with the idea, what inspired them, and what they want you guys, the audience, to encompass from watching these two very, very informative short films. So you don't want to miss the Ben and Jay Show next Tuesday from 3 p.m. To 4:30 p.m. So that is our special announcement. But before we go, we always try to give you words of encouragement. Ben, you can start off by giving your words.
Yes, sir. I just want to say, let's be kind to each other this week. First of all, I want to thank Access Services in Fort Washington. I want to thank our sponsors, Tony Rodi's Pizza, the fitness center, and you can say your thank you for the fitness center. I would like to thank the CAPS training program in Philadelphia, Autism CAPS program, the autism, the autism peer support out there, and then also let's be kind to one another.
Community Autism Peer Specialist.
Peer specialist. Okay, thank you. Special shout out to Ardika and to our winners who won today. I love you guys, and be kind to one another.
All right, guys. Just want to say, me personally, thank you again to Max and Matthew. You guys are doing a great thing. The people over at the CAPS program, Access Services, for powering the Ben and Jay Show. Kay Lee, thank you for being our support system, the event support system. I just want to end on a note. Hopefully, it is not something that will sadden people, but also just imply change. I was reading a post by Joy Danielle on Facebook. She's a part of the Autism Parents Support Group. And I went back to an article that I wrote in the Autism Parenting magazine last year, back in 2019. It was titled The Forgotten Ones, forgotten spelled with a U, to basically give homage and pay respect to those on the autism spectrum. And this is what I said: to the countless mothers and fathers that post online that they can't do this anymore, or I give up, we often as a community make up for the incompetence of today's politicians, president, and other worldly powers by giving a parent hope that lasts as long as we're only signed online. But at the end of the day, the emphasis awaits them once they are gone. So in other words, we have to be doing more. You have to reach out to those individuals who are going through this COVID-19, both on the spectrum and without being on the spectrum. And what about the parents? Most importantly, those who have to just basically make it happen with what they have. Mm-hmm. How can you make it happen with what you have when nobody has it?
Yes.
You want to ask yourself. So,
we just said another.
Kind to one another, pray for one another, and just be there.
Hold on 1 second, Jamiel. We just told me something last minute. Don't forget, everybody, about my birthday coming up on May 20th. We're gonna have a special party on Facebook and Instagram. I'll talk to you more about that, Jamiel, after we get off this call. Yeah. We're basically doing a virtual party. We're basically going to be talking live on Instagram and Facebook about Access Services and Eagles Autism Challenge. And then at 6:30 that night, a lot of you are invited to come join our Zoom party, 6:30 to 9 o'clock. You don't have to feel obligated to stay to 9, but you're welcome to if you want to. But I have a lot of people coming, so it's going to be a great day. So I hope to see you all on May 20th.
Cool.
All right, I'll definitely be there, Ben.
It's going to be the best party ever.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you for joining the Ben and Jay Show. We've taken more than enough of your time. Stay tuned next Tuesday. Pixar, Luke, Float, the directors and writers on the show. Max, Matthew, for myself, and Ben. Peace.
Be kind to one another. Love you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us again.
Out. Thank you.